Hey, thank you for coming back and joining me at my channel. So I wanted to take a minute today and talk about something that seems to be happening regularly um, amongst many. And so I felt like it would be something of importance that I wanted to share. What is happening is with all of this chaos that we're seeing through the rioting and the destruction and the removal of the statues and the way it's being transacted, many are feeling the loss at this time of all of this that's taking place and feeling a lot of anger and a lot of frustration concerning um, a lot of the destruction, also um, feeling angry at what is taking place, and then witnessing people being beaten up and shot and killed and everything else, right? And so this is very heavy for the emotional body to be taking in, even for those of us that have been doing this work for a long time. And what's really important about all of this is that we're going to go through emotional states where we're going to need to have release. And we're all on this journey, this ascension path, this great awakening, if you will, where we're transcending our consciousness, moving into the highest state of consciousness, anchoring more into the higher self through the embodiment phase, right? Which means that we become our higher self aspect. But in order to do that, we have to clear more density out of our physical body in order to anchor in those higher light frequencies. So as we're seeing this playing out in our reality, I know that there's many out there that are not wanting to feel what they're feeling, and they're really upset by the fact that they're feeling so deeply into what is being experienced. But we have to remember that that's all part of this process in healing. In order to release more of that third dimensional density, we have to make room for it. So one of the fastest ways that we could make that release happen is through expression and emotion, which is crying. Crying is the fastest way to cleanse the field and to release. So for those that are feeling that they don't want to cry, that's really resistance to letting go, to the shift. And we have to remember that everything is presenting exactly as it's needed in order to help support us through that next shift in our own process of our spiritual evolution. So it's very important to understand that we cannot achieve the higher levels until we've released enough of the lower levels and clearing out our own personal space, our own field. Okay. And so it's really important that as we go through this process, we allow ourselves to participate in whatever way is necessary. I know that I shared the other day many ways that you could do that: beating a pillow, getting some boxing gloves and a bag and hitting the bag. Some people like to go out for a brisk run or so, whatever is going to get that anxiety out of your body is what you want to do. But if you are feeling called to release through crying, please let yourself do that. Whether you're male or female, it doesn't really matter. That is the fastest way to release. And we absolutely have to release what we're feeling in order to clear that consciousness, in order to clear that energy from our field. And does that mean that, we're going to cry and let go and shift into, like, let's say, fifth dimensional consciousness, and then look at third dimensional consciousness, what's playing out in the chaos, and not feel anything toward it? No, it doesn't mean that at all. But what it means is that we're becoming a deeper observer in our reality and everything that is playing out, right? You've heard me mention conscious observer. That is where we are becoming the conscious observer in everything that is playing out in our reality. We are all participating in this experience, and we're all supporting Gaia in transcending the frequencies of the lower third dimensional realm that holds distortion, it holds polarity, duality. And right now, it's being cleared in a very physical way. And we're feeling that as we're experiencing the tuning into that, seeing things we don't like and we don't want. But at the same time, we're also having the ability to, through our emotions, let go and purge, and then choose the higher timeline. The key here is to always know that if you've been engaged in that lower timeline, that lower consciousness, that you then have to shift gears and choose the higher timeline. That means doing something that's going to make you feel joy. I know I've talked about this so many times, but it really bears repeating because this is one of the places that we get stuck. I see it with so many, feeling like there's no hope, it's not going to end, it's never going to change. And that's just not true. How you are seeing your reality, what your expectation is for your reality, is what you're going to create in your reality. Our reality is created based on our expectations, our thoughts, our words, and our actions. So we have to be conscious co-creators in every moment and shift those ways of thinking and acting and speaking in our existence so that we can create the reality that we're desiring. So another area that I want to address is separation, where we're seeing ourselves separated from others, okay? And it's playing out in a very significant way in the spiritual community too, where I'm seeing people only identifying themselves as one thing. Oh, I'm only galactic, I work with the galactics. Okay, I'm only angelic, I only work with the angels, or I'm only a light worker, I only work the light. I'm a star seed, I only came here for this purpose, right? While we do feel called to those things, I also want to encourage you not to get stuck in any one description, any one title of what you perceive yourself to be, because that's further separation. Okay, so if you're only identifying yourself as a star seed and not a fractal of source energy, as we all are fractals of source consciousness, and you're only limiting yourself to being a star seed, a light worker, galactic, angelic, then you're creating more separation within yourself and in your collective experience in this time as we're all trying to unify, because that is the key here, unity consciousness. So it's okay to identify yourself as something, but don't get stuck in it, okay? Because we have to then see that as the game of separation. It's like past lives. That term past lives was created specifically to keep us stuck believing that time is linear. And so that we're stuck in this time loop, right? But if we look at it from the bigger perspective and we see that time is not linear, from a nonlinear perspective, all timelines are happening simultaneously and happening now. And from a nonlinear perspective, then it couldn't be a past life. It has to be a life that's occurring now. It's just that your consciousness is not residing on it, because this, where you are with me right now, is the highest timeline that you are engaging in, okay? So we have to really keep this in perspective, because otherwise we're going to set ourselves up for more limitation. And it's going to take longer to navigate out of this karmic loop cycle called incarnation that we're in, okay? So we want to be really clear. And for those of you that might be feeling a little triggered by what I'm saying, it's okay. It's okay, because that's the ego's job to step forward and say, hey, wait a second, don't listen to her because it's not making sense, because that's not our truth, right? The ego has to do that because the ego's job is to keep you separate from knowing yourself as source. You see? Very, very, very important to have this awareness. So if you're feeling triggered by what I'm saying, listen to this whole thing again with your eyes closed. Eyes open, ego in charge. Eyes closed, higher self is in charge. So if you need to, listen to this again. Close your eyes, bring your consciousness out of your head, drop it into your heart center, breathe into your heart, and then listen to this over again, okay? It's really important because we don't want to maintain that separate ID. We want to know ourselves as source energy. We want to know ourselves in unity consciousness with our brothers and sisters, okay? And even that is separation, because when you think about it, souls are, they don't have a gender, right? They are not gender specific. Where they're only gender specific when they come down into the state of being and have to assume physical form. So we really need to get that out of our head and see ourselves as one big family of soul consciousness, the embodiment of source energy, because we are all fractals of source, and let go of any separation that we might be having, because we are all one. It doesn't matter, right? I could say, oh, I'm a light worker, right? But at the end of the day, I never perceive myself as a light worker, because my higher self has come in. And in that knowing of my higher self, actually 4 of them that I'm super familiar with, in knowing those aspects of myself, those higher selves, I don't perceive myself as attached to anything. There is no attachment to anything. I don't attach to a starseed. I don't attach to a light worker. I don't attach to just being galactic, to being angelic. I attach to source consciousness. I perceive myself as being a fractaled aspect of source. And from that, even, I am source, right? So we are all source. So I just want to leave you with that, because that's really important. We really have to have that awareness that we are so much more. We are connected divinely through our soul connection with each other, divine sisters and brothers of each other, and just be that, and not further separate ourselves from each other or knowing ourselves as source. Okay, so I hope you found something that resonated. If for some reason it didn't, as always, close your eyes, tune in, get the ego out of the way. The ego, you know, is always going to be there in some way, shape, or form. It diminishes as we grow, but I don't believe that it's, as long as we're in human form in this physical body, that we're never going to have some kind of smidge of ego. All right, so that's a lot to think about and a lot to process, but I wanted to just leave you with that, because that's what helps us grow. So every time you're feeling a little stuck, step into that higher state of being and know yourself as source energy. Okay, so thanks again for tuning in. If this resonated with you, please give me a thumbs up. If you had a moment that sparked you and you want to share, please leave me a comment below. I read everything. And know that I love you, and I look forward to connecting with you again real soon. Okay, take care. Bye-bye.